Why stick out like a sore thumb when you can learn to speak Minnesotan with the Minnesota Language System's simple cassette tapes and study guide?
Give me another big slab of that delicious casserole.
That's a mistake any visitor could make. It's not casserole. But after a week or two of study, people will think you've lived in Minnesota all your life, and so will you.
Hot dish.
Hot dish.
A traditional Minnesota main course, hot dish, is cooked and served in a single baking dish and commonly appears at family reunions and church suppers, although it can grace any table. If it doesn't look like anything you've ever seen before, it's probably hot dish.
Generic hot dish for 3. Mix together in a large bowl 1 can cream of mushroom soup, 1 pound pulverized meat, 1 can pale vegetables. Stir. Salt to taste. Pour into dish. Sprinkle with chow mein noodles. Bake at 400 degrees until a brown crust forms.
Hey, boy, this is great stuff. Marshmallows and Jell-O. What a great dessert.
Salad. Salad.
Never call it dessert. The Minnesota salad is composed of Jell-O, canned fruit, miniature-colored marshmallows, and a dollop of Cool Whip. A common variant is to mix the Cool Whip with the Jell-O, omit the fruit, and sprinkle the marshmallows on top.
Boy, pass me some more of that salad. I love marshmallows with my pork chops and mashed potatoes.
Barbecue. The barbecue.
The barbecue is a Minnesota sandwich consisting of boiled ketchup and hamburger served on a white buttered bun. It is commonly eaten with a spoon.
Hand me another napkin, will you? This barbecue is not too bad, but it's running down my arm.
The barbecue should not be confused with the Minnesota taco, pronounced taco. The Minnesota taco consists of ketchup and hamburger served inside a folded tortilla, pronounced tortilla, and topped with cheese whiz. Many cooks substitute pickled herring for the hamburger and use canned mushroom soup instead of cheese whiz as a topping. Lettuce is optional. Buttered and folded white bread can be substituted for the tortillas. It is commonly eaten with a spoon.
Hand me another napkin, will you? This taco is not too bad, but it's running down my arm. It sort of reminds me of the barbecues we had yesterday.
Breakfast. Dinner. Supper.
The Minnesota breakfast occurs in the morning and is very close to the national standard. You get up and sit in your bathrobe and stare until the coffee's done. The Minnesota dinner is served at 12 noon sharp and is the major meal of the day. The Minnesota supper is served after 5, but before the 6 o'clock news on TV.
Lunch. Lunch.
You ready for lunch?
Eat lunch? Now? It's 3:30 in the afternoon. I had lunch at noon.
No, you didn't. You had dinner. In Minnesota, lunch is situated between the major meals and commonly consists of coffee, punch, a large tray of meat sandwiches on snack buns, and several varieties of the native dessert called bars.
Oh boy, lunch. It's been over 2 hours since dinner and I'm real hungry again.
A little lunch.
When lunch occurs at other odd times, it is called a little lunch. Little has nothing to do with size. Wherever 2 or 3 are gathered together, a little lunch will be forthcoming at 4-H, poker games, Lutheran circle, piano recitals, town council, funerals, and weddings. The little lunch is always larger than the mid-morning and mid-afternoon lunch, with a better selection of bars and meat sandwiches. You can easily make a meal out of it. You should never accept a little lunch or food of any kind until the 3rd offer, and then reluctantly. And if a Minnesotan does not make the offer 3 times, it is not serious.
You want a cup of coffee before you go?
No, I wouldn't want to put you out. I'll get by.
You sure? I just made a fresh pot.
You didn't have to go and do that.
Well, how about a 1 cup?
Well, if it's going to hurt your feelings, but don't fill it full.
How about a bar with that?
Well, I guess so. No, really, I shouldn't.
Now, they're double crispy foghorn bars.
I can't. I got my mind made up. I'm not going to let you give me one.
Well, there's one already cut with your name on it.
Whatever.
A little cream for the coffee.
No, that's okay. I can drink it black.
No problem, I'll get you some cream.
Stay put. I don't need it.
Are you sure? It's right out there in the refrigerator.
Well, if you're going that way anyway, I don't want you to make a special trip for me.
Sugar.
I don't have to have sugar in my coffee.
Once you learn how to speak Minnesotan, you'll be ready for some of our tourist attractions. Why not tell people about one of your favorite spots, Howard?
Yeah, I'll be glad to do that, Bob. I get out to this place a couple times a year, if I can. That's Bob's B-17 Park, which is just north of Deadwood Falls, Minnesota. Bob, maybe you don't know, has twice received the Medal of the Unusual from the Minnesota Tourist Council. Not that the council necessarily approves of what he's doing out there. But Bob doesn't care what the council thinks. For that matter, he doesn't care what anybody thinks. He thinks what he wants to, and they can think what they want to. If you come into Deadwood Falls on Highway 29 from either direction, you just ask anybody how you get to Bob's B-17 Park. Well, not everybody. There are some killjoys who've been trying for 30 years to change the zoning laws and have Bob's Park cleaned up, and Bob with it. For my money, there's never a dull moment at Bob's. And if you're fascinated by old cars and machinery, which I am, you'll like to get out there. He's got a row, it must be 24 49 Fords sitting in the Grove. A sight to see, I'll tell you. If Bob doesn't seem to be home, watch out for the dog. It's called Dog. That's what Bob has called all his dogs. He says it's easier to remember, and dogs aren't particular about names. If he comes running out from under the boxcar where Bob lives, you'd be better off waiting until Bob gets home to go through the gates. I was out there last summer, late summer, '86. I spent the whole day looking at Bob's earth-moving equipment collection. He's got drag lines, graders, scrapers. He could build a freeway on his own if he felt like it. He built a lake in the late 50s with a big Caterpillar bulldozer. Actually, he built the lake twice. The first time didn't get the outlet right. Washed out, and the whole lake went downstream and surprised his neighbors. It's a nice little lake, a lot of walleyes in it. One time when I was out there, I was fortunate enough to catch Bob blowing up stumps, which is, that's the thing about Bob. You go out there, whatever he's doing, you get to watch him do it. And there are two schools of blowing up stumps. One is you wrap a log chain around the stump and jerk it out with a caterpillar. And then the other is dynamite. And what Bob likes to do is put 2 sticks under each stump. When I was out there, he had 11 stumps. And he went one after the other, lighting a short fuse and then taking off. I was watching from the yard. Pretty exciting, actually. It was quite the show, I'll just have to tell you. But you know, if you stop by Bob's on a day when he won't say a word to you, all you have to do is ask him about his B-17, which is his pride and joy. He bought the B-17 in 1963, I think. He hauled it up from the desert southwest. Took him 3 trips. He hauled it on a flatbed trailer and then reassembled it. See, the Army Air Force in 1942 trained him to be an aircraft mechanic and sent him overseas. And when he came back in 1946, he said he'd seen London, he'd seen France, and he'd seen some ladies' underpants. And that was about it. It was enough for him. And he settled down on the family place and took up farming. So what he'll do is, if he's in a good mood, and it's hard to tell whether he's in a good mood sometimes, and you ask him about his B-17, he'll let you sit in the top gun turret, which is the operational one, and you can push the pedals, and you rotate the gun, and he'll sit up in the cockpit and communicate with you on the intercom. Get to wear the leather helmet, the goggles, the whole works. And if he's really cooking, he'll fire up the left outboard engine. Something you can hear it all the way to Deadwood Falls, which many people will tell you. He'll even talk to you about bogeys at 2 o'clock. When Bob first started collecting heavy equipment, there were people that said he was crazy, but when he moved that B-17 there, they really went after him. Actually, they reported him to the FBI, and they sent an agent out from Washington, D.C., and he spent 2 days riding around on equipment with Bob. And they blew up a few stumps, and then they made flew a complete mission across the English Channel and back. And when the agent returned to Washington, he gave Bob the top bureau rating. Over the years, different people have got wild hairs and decided that they would report Bob to the FBI, and they're all told the same thing: get off Bob's back. We like him. And so do I. He's good company, and he never puts on airs. He's exactly what he is. And the only thing that worries me about him is that one of these days he's going to put a runway in front of that B-17 with a big Caterpillar bulldozer, fire up all 4 engines, and take off for parts unknown. Wouldn't surprise me a bit. That's Bob for you. He doesn't stand on ceremony.
Bob's B-17 Park is brought to you by Raw Bits, the rough natural cereal made from oat hulls and wheat chaff. Send us your resume and we'll let you know if you qualify for Raw Bits. It's not for everybody.
The other day, somebody stopped by my place out on the Minnesota Prairie, and they said, "Boy, you sure do have an interesting lifestyle." That surprised me. I didn't know I had a lifestyle, and if I did, I had no idea anybody would find it interesting. Mostly what I do in the summer is sit in a lawn chair at the edge of my property by the soybean field and look out at the horizon. Sometimes I use binoculars so I can see more detail. My cereal? Raw Bits. I don't think a person with a lifestyle would care for it.
Raw Bits, not sold in stores, available by invitation only. Write the Raw Bits Selection Committee today and include 2 references. That's RAWBITS, Raw Bits. Cars are not just a means of transportation in Minnesota. They're a way of life and the top-rated subject of conversation among Minnesota men. If you can't talk cars when you visit, you might as well turn right around and go home.
Read any good books lately?
You bet.
Well, what was it?
Paperback.
Any particular paperback?
Yep.
Well, men's fashions sure seem to be changing quite a bit, don't they?
Not that I've noticed.
You know, this acid rain business, I don't know what to think.
Me either.
Well, what are you driving these days?
Well, I still got that 1970 Chrysler Newport Special I bought used off a lot with 82,000 miles on it. She's been a good runner. It's broken in now with 164,000 actual miles on it. Ground the valves at 90,000, but otherwise I haven't touched it except for some minor body work. You know, stuffing old shingles in the trunk holes where it rusted out, screwing a little sheet metal on the fenders, the usual. She's a little mushy in the brake area because of a slow leak in the vacuum booster. Makes a noise like a whoopee cushion, but all you have to do is push harder on the brake pedal and it'll stop. Push so hard once I broke the back off the driver's seat, but I don't need a backrest anyway. It weakens your concentration. Back in August, I took a wrong turn in the fog with the old Chrysler. I thought it was a road, but it was a farm lane, and it headed right by the runoff area of this feedlot. Must have been 100 cattle in there. By the time my headlights reflected off that brown, scummy pool, I had only 2 choices. Either gun it or skid to a halt in the middle and wade out. I gunned her and fishtailed through. Covered everything in the engine with about 1 inch of semi-liquid cow refuse. Plug wires, distributor, firewall, you name it, for about 6 weeks there until everything baked off. People would cup their hand over their nose when I drove by. A lot of cars couldn't take that kind of abuse. It's got the 383 V8, maybe I mentioned. The suspension system is hurting, though. I put heavy-duty shocks on it, but I've never been happy with the way it handles on the corners. It'll start good if you keep the manual choke out about 1 inch, but then she'll run rag and then run good and then cough and sputter for no reason I can figure. I'm guessing sticky valves, but it could be a bad plug wire. I can live with it. I just don't go more than 30 miles from home so I can phone my wife to get me if it cashes in on her. Bob Humdy here with a word about my Composto carb, which has been outselling my cow pie, key hider, and barking pen 2-to-1. It's the carburetor you always heard about that Detroit kept secret for years, but I built one of them. What you do, you take your old conventional carburetor off your car, and then you attach the Bob Humdy Composto carb in its place. It looks a little bit like a greasy Cuisinart. Then you fasten down the large fiberglass rooftop supply bin with the 2-inch lag screws. Don't use the 3-inch screws. They'll come through and hit you in the head. And then you connect the sewer-type hose from the bin to the Composto carb through the hole in the hood. Now the rest is easy. You just scoop organic matter into the bin and turn the key. Lettuce, stuff from the back of the refrigerator, most of the garbage from your house, all forms of animal waste. You just shovel your supply bin full every morning and you can run all day. I've had a Composto carb on my 78 Buick for 6 months, and what I like is you don't ever have to worry about tailgaters. And if your bin runs low, anything goes. I drove from St. Paul up to Duluth once on just roadkill. And listen to this. Every Composto carb comes with my personal 10,000-mile, 50-ton waste warranty and one free fill with a waste of your choice. Sheep manure is better than horse. You get less pinging.
Yeah, fill it with lead-free, buddy. Check the oil and tires, too, and get the windshield. I don't have all day either.
Being too direct in Minnesota, it's a mistake any visitor could make.
So then,
Well, if you feel like it.
If it's not too much trouble.
Those phrases and many more are used to make indirect commands and statements. It's the Minnesota way. Here's a Minnesotan at the filling station.
so I'll take a little lead-free then if you got any, and you could maybe check the oil if you go past the hood if it's not too much trouble. Whatever. No big rush on it. I'll do the windshield. I have to get out and check the tires anyway.
At the public library, which is the Minnesotan? A
I want a book on mountain goats, lady.
or B?
If you're not too busy, ma'am, I was sort of wondering if you could maybe help me find a book about mountain goats then.
Again, the driver of a car has parked with the back end out in heavy traffic. Which is the Minnesotan? A
Say, Mert, you could maybe move in a little closer to the curb if you wanted to.
or B?
Get your butt off the road, Mert!
Another common phrase of indirection is a variation of a lot of guys, a guy could, or if a guy. It is used mostly by Minnesota men. Here's a Minnesotan offering advice on the repair of a leaking faucet.
I think if a guy took off that float valve with a vice grips, he could maybe get at the gasket then.
At the smelt feed.
Well, a lot of guys could sit here all night and eat smelting beans.
A lot of guys do, too, as long as the beer holds out. A lot of guys is used to give an opinion when it was not asked for but is needed anyway.
A lot of guys wouldn't use a welder so close to a gas tank like that.
The phrase, a lot of gals, should never be substituted for a lot of guys. Minnesota guys know better than to say to a Minnesota woman,
I think if a gal took off the float valve with a vice grips, it would work better.
her natural reply would be,
I wonder if a guy could talk with a vice grips clamped on his nose.
Minnesota women are not as indirect as the men. Minnesota language systems. Why take the chance of sounding like a stranger? A week or two of study and people will think you've lived in Minnesota all your life, and so will you.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
The preceding conversation was made possible by a small grant from Budget Exercise System. Why spend $500 for a bunch of heavy weights when all you need is budget cargo straps?
Oh boy.
Budget exercise cargo straps are easily attached to ordinary household furnishings. Start by carrying light objects like the kitchen table or the clothes hamper, and slowly work your way up to the refrigerator and the washing machine. In a year, you'll have a piano on your back, and people will hardly know you. And why pay a ton of money for treadmills and trampolines when all you need is budget Velcro exercise shoes, the sports shoe with Velcro soles? Just 15 minutes a day of walking on your living room carpet with budget Velcro shoes, and you'll be a lot thinner, and so will your carpet. Also from Budget Exercise, back in stock by popular demand, the Budget Falling Machine. Whoa! Scientific studies have shown that when you slip and fall, every muscle in your body is exercised. Some you didn't even know you had. The Budget Falling Machine simulates nature's most perfect exercise with 5 fall levels, including trip and flail, loose rug, and head over heels. Simply fasten yourself to the Budget Falling Machine with the grappling hooks, set the level, and you can fall over and over again without hurting yourself all that much. But you'll feel it for days. Budget home exercise system. Sweating will never be cheaper. Some assembly required.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and rest.
A Minnesota conversation can sometimes be a series of statements on a common theme, as in this discussion of Dutch elm disease by 2 native Minnesotans.
That big elm of mine over the front porch there just doesn't look real perky.
No, I got one like that. They say a guy can pour a couple jugs of bleach around the roots. I don't know.
Yeah, I tried the bleach. Then I called the county extension office. They had me smear the trunk with Cool Whip. They said, what they told me was some people have been having pretty good luck with the whip topping.
Yeah, a guy gets desperate, all right.
Most Minnesota conversations do not, however, need a common theme. The only rule is to pause briefly between what seem to be disconnected statements.
Boy, it's the kind of day where if it was any colder, you'd be talking snow.
Yep. I bought a couple of those retreads for my old Chrysler. I hope they don't peel the way they will.
Muskmelon. I like it, but it doesn't like me. Upsets my stomach to beat the band.
I used to keep my billfold in the back pocket of my pants. But then I saw this documentary on shoplifting. Now I keep it in the front pocket.
Yeah, but.
Unlike the simple conversation, a Minnesota debate consists of a controversial statement by one person and a yabuttal by the other.
Well, it's a big country, China, all those people. A guy kind of wonders.
Yeah, but they're drinking Coke and Pepsi now, so that's something.
After the statement and the yabuttal, drop the subject. No sense causing hard feelings.
You know, I'm using gasohol on my pickup, and I get a good 5 miles more per gallon out of it, you know.
Yeah, but they say it can clog your lines and burn out your valves.
Again.
You need some recreation. You should try playing golf.
Yeah, but there's always the danger I might start liking it.
The Minnesota Yabuttles were funded in part by Pentagon Overstocks, located just north on the interstate and quite a bit west, where you get official Pentagon surplus at a fraction of the original cost. Isn't that right, Tom?
Yes, sir, Bob. We got the 12-cup electric all-aluminum coffee makers, complete with 6-foot cord and handy spigot that you'd expect to pay $4,000 for. But at Pentagon Overstocks, you pay not $4,000, not $2,000, not $1,000. You pay only $12.95. They won't last this long at that price, will they, Pete?
No, we're up to our ears, Tom. I said ears in official Navy toilet seat covers at Pentagon Overstocks. If you got a toilet seat, we got the cover for it. Thousands sold to the Pentagon at over $800 each. But you can pick one up for the incredible price of $349. You'll want several plastic toilet seat covers at this price.
Let's talk mechanical pencils. Hundreds were sold to the Pentagon for $1,200, but they're yours for $1.95, and they're personalized with names like Commander and Admiral, complete with extra lead. You don't think those guys would be caught without lead in their pencils, do you?
No, I don't. And boys, you forgot to mention back in stock at Pentagon Pentagon Overstocks, secret decoding rings made to exacting military specifications by a top defense contractor and sold to the Pentagon for $700, yours for only 37 cents.
And too good to be true, official Army underarm spray deodorant sold to the Pentagon for $80 a can, yours for a nickel. And it's camouflaged.
You paid for it with your tax dollars, so you might as well get out to Pentagon Overstocks and buy it back at incredible savings. If you are called upon to start a conversation from a dead stop in Minnesota, you should know that 35% of our conversations deal with the weather, 30% with cars, 15% with food, 10% with road and building construction, 9% with fishing, 1% with politics and religion, and 1% with all the rest. What that means is, if you can't carry on a conversation about the weather in Minnesota, you might as well pack your bags and head back to where you came from. Here are two Minnesotans getting wound up on the weather.
So what do you think of this weather?
Boy, it's something.
I've never seen anything like it.
You got that right.
Many weather conversations deal with predictions.
It's gonna do something.
Yeah, I don't like the looks of those clouds.
The birds are acting funny.
And the air.
Yeah, it feels kind of thick or something.
Boy, I'd say it could do anything.
It makes a guy nervous.
Uneasy.
You got that right.
Winter vacations in Minnesota are pretty popular because of the many recreational opportunities, including ice fishing and snowmobiling. The stories in Sunbelt newspapers about tourists who've disappeared and then been found unspoiled here during the spring thaw are exaggerated. Sure, it's happened, but what's a vacation without a little risk? But if you come from a place where winter is when you turn off the air conditioner and open the windows, you could be in for a shock when you go outside your motel some cold winter morning and try to start your car. It's one of the last great adventures. It requires two people coordinating their efforts, one inside the car and one outside, with his head under the hood. And even that's no guarantee, because there's no such thing as a car that will start every time in the winter here. And that would include the low-mileage rental car you drove up from Arizona.
Hold it, we're not getting any juice. One of the jumper cables came off.
You sure you got the negative connected to the negative there? There's smoke coming out of the radio here.
Red is negative, isn't it?
Boy, I thought black was negative. I don't know. Why don't you switch them?
Okay, there it is. I got it. Now hit it again.
Oh, boy. I almost got it. Almost. She wanted to go there.
Yeah? Pump the foot feed. Kick it. Don't flood it.
Yeah, maybe you should give it a shot of starting fluid there. Not too much of it, though.
What?
Okay?
I couldn't hear you. I was squirting starting fluid in the carburetor throat. Hit it.
Oh, boy, that was close. Should I hit her again, or?
Now, hold it a second. I'm going to try pounding on the coil. Could be a frozen coil. They'll do that. Okay. We're going to get serious now. Before you turn the key, put your forehead on the steering wheel and lean into it and think start. A lot of it's attitude. Hit it!
Nothing.
Forget it. That's all she wrote.
At that point, you should do what we do. Go back in and have a little lunch. The deal is, there's about a minute of dead silence here at the end of side A. So if you want side B to start at the beginning, then I suppose a guy could either relax and let the tape run at normal speed before turning it over, or fast forward it if you're in some kind of a big rush. Whatever.
You bet.
That's different.
Whatever.
Those three workhorses of Minnesota conversation will carry you through your first scary hours here. Memorize them, work on them at home with your family, repeat them until they're second nature. They are the building blocks of all dialogue. A common use of "you bet" is in response to thank you. In a store,
Thank you for shopping at Gopher State Supermarket.
You bet. Thank you.
You bet. Come back.
You bet.
if you can't think of anything else, say you bet. Mainly used to answer questions, you bet is meant to be pleasantly agreeable and doesn't obligate you to a strong opinion. In fact, hardly anything obligates you to a strong opinion in Minnesota.
Warm enough for you then?
Yeah, you bet.
Boy, Minnesota. It's easy to see why they call it the paradise of the North, isn't it?
You bet.
Sometimes the question is only implied.
You know, I think flannel pajamas are a pretty good deal.
You bet.
In some cases, you bet can be used to soften somebody else's strong opinion.
They ought to throw the book at that bozo and give him a one-way ticket out of here.
You bet.
In this case, probably you really don't bet, but are saying you do. It roughly means, you and I are talking, we are here, it's a short life, let's keep it calm, what's the sense of stirring up trouble?
Say, how do you like my new Holstein paneling in the living room?
That's different.
When you say that's different, you are expressing an opinion, but you're holding back the details. Here are two Minnesotans discussing bullhead bait.
I suppose you're using night crawlers for the bullheads then.
You bet. What are you using?
Oh, it's my special stink bait formula. I make it out of moldy cheese with leftover congealed hot dish for a binder.
Oh, that's different.
Again,
You know, I hear that new family that moved in down the block, they've got 4 big dogs, 6 old cars, and 3 teenagers with purple hair.
Yeah, they're different.
whatever expresses a whole range of emotional turmoil and disappointment and takes over in Minnesota conversation when you bet and that's different aren't strong enough for the job.
Your work is good, Harold. We don't have any complaints, but we're going to have to let you go. It's the economy.
Whatever.
Again,
I'm not going to start you at center tonight, Bill. You've been falling down too much on the court.
Whatever.
again,
Looking at your transcript, Carol, the only course that transfers is general math. You basically have another 4 years of college ahead of you.
Whatever.
in review, if your wife tells you that her sister and brother-in-law are going to come stay with you in your 2-bedroom house for a few months while they find themselves, you might say,
You bet.
or you might say,
That's different.
but more than likely you'd say,
Whatever.
learning to talk Minnesotan is hard enough for visitors, but learning when not to talk is even tougher. Nobody said your vacation would be easy. And the most difficult nonverbal art of the lot, waving.
Waving looks like a simple act, but it can bring a stranger to his knees here in Minnesota. I should know. I remember my first wave. I was 15 years old driving a John Deere A tractor. You know, the one with the narrow front end and no self-starter. It was just east of our farm there going downhill. And coming up the hill in a car I didn't recognize, which was my first mistake, was Donnie Goodman. He waved at me just before we passed. I managed to get my arm in the air for a ragged return wave, but I hit my thumb on the throttle lever coming up. And I could see a smirk on Donnie's face. It was a terrible wave. I dreamt about it. I'll never forget it. But now, more than 30 years later, I'm probably as good a waver as you'll find in Minnesota. But even I don't pretend to know it all. The wave is a greeting delivered from a distance and generally involves 2 vehicles traveling in the opposite direction, meeting and passing. No waving situation develops when both people are out of their vehicles, because a wave involves the passing process, when one or both are going by. The classic wave from vehicle to vehicle never includes a verbal exchange. Saying something out the rolled-down driver's window as you pass would be the height of folly. The ground-to-vehicle wave. If a vehicle goes by your place while you're on the ground sawing down dead elms, walking beans, or changing the oil in a tractor, the responsibility for starting the wave process is yours. You look up or you don't look up. If you look up, you will wave if you know the person. On rare occasions, you may wave at a perfect stranger going by if they look like they need a wave. This is the goodwill wave. Another thing, never substitute honking for waving, unless the other person just got married or you notice oats leaking from the truck where the rags fell out. How often to wave? Never wave more than once if the same situation develops again in the same day. You wave twice at a person only if, on the second time by, they have either changed vehicles, bigger tractor, tractor to three-wheeler, changed grains, hauling corn first time, beans second. If they've only taken off their jacket or changed seed corn hats, you should not wave again. Sighting. You should begin your evaluation of the oncoming vehicle as far ahead as possible. Once you're pretty sure you know who it is, get ready for the wave by easing up your grip on the steering wheel with your right hand. Even left-handers use their right for waves, don't ask me why. Clear a path for your arm. Don't lose control of your vehicle. If waving means you risk driving into a power pole, forget it, the other person will get over it in time. When to wave. If you are both in fast vehicles, wave when the vehicles are about 10 yards apart. If you are both in slow vehicles, driving by the crops real slow in the pickup or trying to find out where that turn is, the timing of your wave is pretty important, otherwise the wave vacuum can occur. The wave comes too soon and you are just passing each other without anything to do. If you wave too soon, it's best to check the pin on the wagon or find out what's under your foot. In fact, in slow vehicles, most drivers inspect their equipment right up until the passing moment, and then they look up and wave. Kinds of waves. I wish I had all the answers for you. It's so easy to foul up waving in Minnesota. It's almost better not to wave or even honk the horn than to use the wrong wave. A newcomer to Minnesota can't expect to do more than get the rudiments of waving down before crossing the border. Practice at home is all I can tell you. Get a member of your family in a second vehicle and go by each other and wave. But don't try any fancy stuff. The ordinary garden variety wave here is the finger wave. Your hand is gripping the steering wheel. You meet another vehicle and then you raise the index finger. You don't leave it up, you just flash it. The finger wave has more variations than I intend to go into here. Watch for it, try to imitate it. 2 to 4 finger waves can be used between fast-moving vehicles when visibility is poor, but the nicely executed single finger wave is a thing of beauty and a joy forever. To me, it perfectly sums up the Minnesota character that I love so much. When you get that finger wave right, you'll know you've arrived and you won't ever have to leave again if you don't want to.
That waving information was brought to you by Polka Pants. Polka Pants give you room to move right where you need it. We're talking thighs, waist, and seat. Don't crap your style with pants that pull and bind. Slip into a pair of Polka Pants and kick up your heels without loss of circulation. Polka Pants, guaranteed not to rip, tear, shred, or blow out under stress. Available at fine accordion stores everywhere. Minnesotan is not one of the major Romance languages, but it's not quite as bad as some people make out. We do just fine here with dating and all the rest. You never know, you could meet that special someone right here in Minnesota. Many of us have. 1 minute you're drifting along, and the next minute there you are in the middle of a passionate romance. The following romantic encounter happened in a Minnesota laundromat.
Oh, I dropped my quarters all over the place, ma'am. I must have tripped on the bedspread hanging out of my clothes basket.
You should have a belt loop change holder like mine. They're real handy.
Oh, boy, that's a great idea. You know, this is all so new to me.
That's what I figured. It's written all over your face. I'm Edna, by the way, and you dropped your detergent.
Oh, thanks. Wally here. Would I be out of line if I asked you something? It's kind of personal.
I don't mind if you get personal.
What temperature setting should I use on the dryer?
Well, I use the warm setting for polyesters, but for everything else, I turn it all the way up to high. Except underwear.
Well, what's the deal on underwear anyway?
High heat wrecks the elastic in the waistband.
Boy, you know your way around, don't you? I hate baggy underwear.
So do I, Wally. Maybe it's a sign.
In the later courtship stage,
I bought you this ring, Edna, but I don't want you to feel pressured or anything. Maybe you don't like rings. Don't worry about me. I didn't get my hopes up too high anyway.
much later at the wedding,
Do you, Wally, pretty much promise to honor and obey? Gonna obey Edna here and take her to be your lawfully wedded wife as far as that goes then? Or?
Yeah, good deal.
And you, Edna, do you pretty much take Wally to be your lawfully wedded husband then? Or?
Whatever.
a little later on the honeymoon,
Well, Wally?
You bet. Where I live and what I burn for fuel. It's a long story. When my wife and I moved to our farmhouse out near Hornet, Minnesota 17 years ago, we needed #1 fuel oil for the furnace. So I called the Hornet Co-op oil station to order some up. It's the world's second co-op oil station, established just before the stock market crash in 1929, according to its sign. I never doubted it. This is Harold Meyer.
Harold who? Where do you live, anyway?
I had that memorized. It's always a good idea to memorize where you live. North of town, along 3 miles on County Road 12, it's the farm place on the hill.
Hill?
Well, maybe it's more like a rise or a large bump.
County 12. Is that the blacktop that runs by the Lutheran cemetery and takes a dog leg around the drainage ditch?
Yeah, that's the one, only it takes another dog leg before it runs by us. We're right where the dog's paw would be. The world's second co-op oil station seemed to lack a basic orientation, I thought, but I didn't mention it. After all, maybe the guy on the phone was new, too.
Oh, sure, you mean the Fletcher farm.
I do? I guess I did, because it turns out Orville Fletcher used to live where I live now. Orville had a habit of putting his initials into every concrete object he built during his long residency. The clean-out plug for the cement block chimney says OF 54. The steps to the cellar, OF 37. The concrete floor in the dairy barn has a row of initials, Orville's brothers and cousins, concluding with OF 57. And a couple of cat tracks. Cats make good supervisors. Now, sometime during my early fuel ordering years in Hornet, I'd get an older fellow on the line. This is Harold Meyer. Could you please bring me some #1 fuel oil? I knew the shortcut to my place by now. Out at the Fletcher farm.
The what?
You know, 2 dog legs north on County 12, past the Lutheran cemetery and along the ditch.
Oh, you mean the Brindle place.
I've never been surprised by anything I heard from the world's second co-op, so I said, If the Prindle place is 4 acres of house and buildings with Orville Fletcher's initials all over everything, you got it. It turns out the Prindles lived where I live before the Fletchers did. The Fletchers lived on the Prindle place, you see, and I live on the Fletcher farm. It seemed complicated, but I didn't question it. I kept hoping the co-op would deliver the fuel oil to me and then bill it out to either Orville or one of the Prindles. But it was the other way around. I paid for the fuel oil, and the co-op delivered it to the Fletcher farm or the Prindle place, depending on who answered the phone. The co-op didn't care where they delivered the oil as long as I paid the bills. The truth is, my wife and I moved to the country because we wanted to live the life we read about in Little House on the Prairie and Bambi. But I tell you, living in somebody else's house on their land and paying for their fuel oil made it pretty hard to smell the flowers and become one with nature. It was tough just becoming one with ourselves. But we knew that if anything happened in a small town, it happened very slowly or not at all. About 6 or 7 years ago, I called the co-op to order some number 1 fuel oil, identifying myself by name, which was still Harold Meyer, although I developed a nervous tic whenever I said it. This is Harold Meyer. I need some number 1 fuel oil.
You bet.
Sweeter words were never heard from the co-op. You bet. I suppose I should have put it in the local news section of the Hornet Eagle. The Harold Meyer family of rural Hornet recently began ordering fuel oil under their own name. A couple of years ago, when I examined the deed and title to the Meyer bump, I found out that the Fletchers and the Prindles were interlopers like me, and it made me feel a little better. The St. Peter Railroad owned it before they did, and the state of Minnesota before that, and the United States government before that. It wasn't mentioned in the title, but of course the U.S. government got the place from France. France, I assume, got it from the Sioux Indians, but I don't think they worked through a realtor. I'd say it was our destiny to stay right where we are. You know where. 2 doglegs north past the Lutheran Cemetery on County 12. But if we ever do have to sell the Meyer bump and move away, I hope the new owners aren't strangers coming to the country to find out who they are in the large scheme of things. They'll be lucky if the world's second co-op oil station finds out who they are. In the meantime, my job on the place is maintenance. I nail things back on that fall off, mow the grass when I can't find the car in it anymore, and keep the house warm with number 1 fuel oil. Any moment, I expect some of the former inhabitants to drive up the lane and move in. I hope they don't all show up at once. We've got 3 extra beds and an army cot, which just might take care of the Prindles if they didn't bring the grandkids. But whoever showed up, the Sioux Indians, France, the Fletchers, I'd expect us to get along fairly well considering. What we do is build a campfire in the yard and stay up late telling stories every night. We'd have a lot of ground to cover, and there'd be very little talk about who owned the land we were sitting on. The potluck meals wouldn't be dull either.
Oh, for dumb.
The 04 construction is used mostly by women to describe a person, thing, or animal, including oneself. For example, if a kitten climbs into somebody's shoe, you would say,
"Oh, for cute."
If the baby smiles and waves its arms, you would say,
Oh, for sweet.
if you're attending a bridal shower and the bride-to-be has just unwrapped a lace nightgown, you would say,
"Oh, for nice."
if the bride-to-be receives a 10-piece Tupperware set, including the lettuce keeper, you would say,
Oh, for useful.
if you are at league bowling and your ball leaps the gutter into the next lane, you would say,
Oh, for embarrassing.
if you were supposed to bring the Jell-O marshmallow salad to the potluck and you forgot it, you would say,
Oh, for dumb.
Minnesota men do not use the 04 phrase in the same way. If the mechanic at the garage shows you the grease all over the brake shoes, it would be a big mistake for a guy to say,
Oh, for yucky.
On the other hand, if one of the kids runs over the lawnmower with the car and blows out 2 tires, both men and women in Minnesota will say,
Oh, for crying out loud.
The Minnesota deal.
Heck of a deal. Good deal. Bad deal.
The word deal, in combinations such as it's no big deal, is used to express a Minnesotan's range of feelings and opinions. Study the following exchanges between two Minnesota men.
Martha and I are having a few people over for steaks on Sunday. We hired a band. You're invited, not that you have to come.
What's the deal?
It's no big deal, just our anniversary.
It's not too good a deal means almost the same thing as it's a bad deal, depending on who's speaking and what the trouble is.
I went up to the lake last weekend, heard the walleyes were biting, and the motor got loose on the boat and fell into about 100 feet of water. I knew I should have tightened that thing down. It wasn't too good a deal, really.
Oh, boy, that's a bad deal, all right.
Do not confuse a bad deal with not too bad a deal, which is very close to being a good deal.
Get this. I got a raise on Friday, and Saturday I hit a long shot at the track. Ketchup surprise came in at 40-1. Not too bad a deal, huh?
That's a good deal.
Quite the deal means it's a pretty good deal, only a little more depending.
Say, I heard you took a trip to Europe.
You bet.
Sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
It was actually quite the deal.
A heck of a deal is the biggest deal of all in Minnesota.
You know, on that Oldsmobile of mine, I'm getting about 32 miles to the gallon in town.
Well, that's a heck of a deal.
This Minnesota language tape has been made possible by a major grant from the Walleye Phone Company of Minnesota, owned and operated by Howie Humdy. Howie couldn't be here in person, but we've got him on the phone, I think. Howie, this is Bob Potter. Can you hear me? There's an echo on the line.
Yeah, it's been doing that. I don't know what the heck it is. Probably the gophers chewing the wires again. You're lucky you got through, Bob.
First of all, Howie, we want to thank you for bankrolling this instruction tape. You'll make a lot of Minnesota's visitors happier than they could have expected to be otherwise.
Yeah, Bob, no problem. The exposure's real good for me and the company. You hear a ghost conversation in the background?
No, all I have is static, Howie. Now, Walleye Phone is a fairly new company, isn't that right?
Fledgling company, I guess a guy could say. We threw our hat into the Minnesota telecommunications ring, not quite 2 years ago.
I'm curious, just to get a general idea, Howie, what would it cost a Walleye customer to make a 3-minute phone call to Chicago?
Not a cent, Bob. You see, not too many of our customers know people in Chicago anyway, so it's no big deal. Presently, what we offer is long-distance service to 10 major cities in Minnesota, including southwest Duluth, Maynard, and Hanley Falls. In Hanley there, it's only east of the tracks, I should say, because we couldn't get clearance to dig under the Burlington Northern Main Line.
Well, what other states can your customers call?
None would be the answer to that, Bob. We're working on it, but we can't do everything at once. I'm understaffed, really. Minnesota first, that's our motto.
But didn't I read someplace that Walleye Phone recently put up a satellite? That must help quite a lot.
Well, that's what we thought, too, but we ran into a few snags. It was an older model satellite. We got it by answering an ad in the paper, and we didn't get the orbit quite right. It's low and it makes a whistling noise. Luckily, only dogs can hear it. I'd say basically it's a dud. We're going to have to shoot it down and start on square one.
Well, good luck to you, Howie. Now, what special services do you offer there at Walleye Phone?
Glad you asked that, Bob. All our customers get unlisted phone numbers free of charge. And we don't publish a directory, and we don't have directory service.
Now, that's innovative, Howie. To take another direction here, as I'm sure you know, the in-car phones are very popular right now. Can Walleye customers make important business calls while driving to work?
Yeah, they sure can, as long as they just take north-south roads and stay on high ground and don't go faster than about 15 miles per hour. And we don't know why we're working on it, but reception's been real spotty in the Fords.
Let's see if we can straighten this out for people who might want to become walleye phone customers, Howie. Anybody in St. Paul can have a walleye phone in their home and call anybody else in 10 major cities. Is that right?
That's it, absolutely right. As long as they call between 9:30 in the morning when Tootie throws the big switch and 3:30 in the afternoon when she goes home to miss the traffic. Now, I will tell you, we plan to be a 24-hour phone company a couple years down the road. It's in the master plan.
Gee, I really hate to bring this up, Howie, but I don't understand how you think you can compete with companies like AT&T. As you know, they say in their advertisements that you can call anybody in the world anytime.
Yeah, I know, that's typical. What they don't say in those ads is that everybody in the world can call you, too. We don't even install two-way service unless people ask for it. Most of my customers, they want any reaching out and touching done, they're going to do it themselves.
Howie, do you hear that noise on the line?
Yeah, I do it. Tootie, that's Tootie. Tootie must be using her hairdryer in the back room. It's got a short in it or something. Tootie, do your grooming later. I'm on the phone.
Howie, if people want to sign up with Walleye Phone, should they give you a call down there at your office?
Not really, Bob. We're having a few technical problems with this line. Their best bet would be to write me a letter now. Can you hear me? I'll send Mac out in the Walleye van. Bob, can you hear me?
You're fading awfully fast, Howie. Any one last thing you want to try to say to us?
We're cheap and we're friendly at Walleye Phone. What more could you ask for, Bob? Bob? Bob?
The Minnesota hello is short, and it goes like this.
So it's you then.
Yep.
You can enhance the hello in some situations with the Minnesota hug, which is executed by extending your arm at full length and touching the other person briefly on the shoulder with your index finger. But we make up for our hellos with the clearest measure of affection in Minnesota, the long goodbye. Begin early, way before you actually climb into your car. It is Saturday afternoon, and Ernie and Kate are about to leave the home of Harold and Phyllis, where they've stayed overnight. They are in the living room, in the first stage of the long goodbye. Nobody is moving toward the door. Everybody is seated. The coats are still in the closet.
I think maybe Kate and I are going to head out then.
Well, you don't have to rush off, Ernie. We still got Sunday.
Well, we meant to leave last night after the news.
How was that bed we had you on last night anyway? Harold and I like a soft mattress.
No, it wasn't too bad really, but it's a creeper. If you thrash around too much on that thing, it tends to inch across the floor.
I'm going to bracket those legs with 2x4s one of these days. It's on my list.
You should see his list.
The second stage of the long goodbye takes place in the kitchen. It is 2 hours later. Both couples have their coats on and are standing near the door.
Okay, then we're leaving now. This is it.
You sure you're not mad about something?
Don't be absurd, Harold.
That's hard for him. You got the little lunch I packed for you, don't you, Kate?
You bet, both sacks. Say, what's in the big Tupperware container anyway?
It's the rest of the Norwegian taco salad that Gwen brought over. It's her specialty.
Yeah, what makes it special to me is those pickled herring chunks she throws in it. Boy, can she cook. Give him some of that glorified rice, too. We got a ton of it left.
Oh, we're not going to take all your food, you know.
The third stage of the long goodbye takes place outdoors near the host house. In this dialogue, both couples are standing on the lawn. Ernie and Kate's car has not been started yet.
So you got everything then, Kate?
Well, if we don't have it, we'll get it next time through.
Kate, I'm moving toward the car now. This is it.
That left front tire of yours doesn't look too good, Ernie. It's kind of low.
I think it's them cheap radials I bought or something. They're thin, I don't know.
In the finale of the long goodbye, the departees are in the car and the hosts are at the open driver's window, bent over. The motor is running.
You sure you don't want to come back in and help us clean up that turkey wiener hot dish before you go? This is your last chance on it.
Nope, I'm still kind of bloated from those 7 dwarf boogie bars you fed us, but you're going to be lucky to get home in time for the weather news as it is, you know. But don't think we didn't have a good time.
Yeah, well, you bet, Ernie. No problem.
Call us when you get there, will you, Kate?
Yeah, you bet, Phyllis.
I'm going to let the clutch out now, and the car is rolling.
What's that ticking noise?
I'd say lifters.
You know, it could be a throwout bearing. Maybe you should stay over.
No, we're off. We're not stopping for anything. Take it easy.
Yeah, well, don't do anything ridiculous, Ernie.
Come back.
You bet.
As you pull away toward the road, your hosts will wave. You should wave back. The waving should continue until you can no longer see each other. A couple of toots on the horn are optional, but always in good taste.
I hate to see him go.
Don't worry, they'll be back. They left their suitcases on the porch.
Minnesota Language Systems. Why sound like a stranger when you visit? A week or two of study and people will think you've lived in Minnesota all your life, and so will you.
So, folks, that's about it then.
Whatever.